Hello, hello everyone. Sorry for the delay in the broadcast. There was some technical issue. So, as promised, today we will be starting our new second stream of our celebration of 100 years of RSS. So, as to celebrate the 100 years of RSS, a centenary, we are reading a book. This is the book. Everybody can see the book. So, this is the book we are reading. So, we had read about 29 pages of the book. So this is how it looks like. And so we will start the reading from the page 30 itself. So the 30 page starts with the Vedic period. So we are prepping the PDF for this. So in a few minutes, we'll have Nandi ready to go ahead and read the book. So before we start the reading, hello RS, and really apologies for people who were waiting. It was not our intention to do that, but unfortunately some technical issues come up, and so beyond our control. So before we Nandi starts the reading, I have a question to the audience. So when we talk about, or we take the name of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhayay, what comes into your mind? So how many people know about him or know what he has done? Because we will have a few new audience here today. So just to give a background to people. And we also have one more thing. We had a documentation prepared previously to give a historical overview of the activities, the work done by Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhayay. So we can share the document as well for new viewers. Okay, okay. RS is saying okay, he came to know about. So correct. So RS, you did not know about Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay until we had this stream and we had discussed his life, his work in our previous stream. Would that be correct? Yeah. So I think we are almost ready. So so let me just add Nandi to the stage. So Nandi will be reading the book. So he's prepping the PDF. And by the way, do you guys have any questions to me? Anything you want to ask? Take the advantage of asking me anything regarding our book reading. So, do you have any books you want us to read? So, I just really want to know the audience what they want us to read. So, we have a lot of books which have been prepped, which will be read. But we just want to take a audience poll. Any books which comes into your mind which you want us to read, and we will certainly try to get the book and try to read it on screen for everyone. Hi Nandi.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
So people are interested in reading about him. That's very good to know. So it is
Yes.
our motive in this stream and the last one to bring out what is integral humanism is all about and to learn more about it.
Cool. So we have two suggestions from RS and from one is Sitaram Goel's How I Became a Hindu. That's a very interesting book. Very interesting book in the current context that we are seeing. What do you say? A Hindutva resurgence, a sense of identity being reinforced by various organizations, and now a lot of people who did not identify as Hindu, okay, are now being identified. They want to identify as a person of Hindu. So in that context, it's a very important book. And one more book is by Dharampal's The Beautiful Tree. That's a gem. Okay. I would request everybody, if you have the time, I think it's freely available even in archive. So that book needs to be read by every human being, not even a Hindu. The kind of documentation, historical data he has presented about India is beyond imagination, beyond compare. So we will also try to read that book in our streams as well when we can schedule it. But I can promise you, we will be read that book certainly in our stream. Yeah, Nandi. So are we ready with the prep?
Yes, yes, we are ready. Yes.
Yeah, you can start sharing the screen. And apologies for the scan because there is no uh, soft copy available for this book. So we are trying to scan the copies and read it because I want everybody else on the stream to read with us. You can increase it. I think it's good
Can
enough.
everyone see it? Yeah. Yeah, this is good
Audience,
enough.
audience, is the letters legible to you, or we need to zoom it a bit better?
I think this is enough.
Let's start the reading. I'll keep an eye on the chat. So in case something is there, I'll update you.
Yeah, sure. So in the last stream, we had read about 29 pages. Now we'll move on with the next page from the book, Spiritual Democracy. Forest Treatise and Upanishads, learning through research and reflections, all incorporating to make the prime areas of Vedic writings. This was the time which saw the rise of Brahma Sutra, the Agamas, the Bhagavad Gita, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Puranas, and other consecrated literary works. The Vedas were primarily transmitted through Shruti, a perfect oral transmission of knowledge and information. Gradually, ancient Indian sages, seers, rishis, and scholars transmitted parts of these Vedic knowledge through Smritis, Itihasa, Purana, and other Shastric forms. There was an extraordinary system of pedagogy that was developed to teach and transmit such knowledge. There was a systematic circulation of knowledge from all corners of South Asia. So here, author is listing all the scripts and all the documentation and all the shrutis that form the basis of the civilization and how this transmission of the knowledge occurred in the past and even in the present. Okay. Various conceptual tools developed to strengthen such reflections evolved into 6 schools of philosophy or darshan, such as Sankhya, the Vaisheshika, and Purva Mimamsa, the Yoga, and the Nyaya, and the Vedanta. So here, what the Western school of thoughts say philosophy, we call them as darshan. So darshana also, like, it's very similar to no, darshana
N-
means like
No, no, no,
huh?
Nandi. So yeah,
Yes.
so philosophy and darshana are not the same.
Mhm.
So it was like this was there that it was compared as darshana and philosophy are same, but it was not same because darshana in our Indic concept is more than just thoughts and ideas. Okay, so you have darshanas of various kinds. So we have 10 darshanas in our Indic philosophy, and we had many more who would have been died out. So we have Astic darshanas, we have Nastic darshanas. But in terms of philosophy, it only talks about metaphysical things. But in our darshana, you will also find that, say, Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita talks about the wisdom of practical life, how to live a life, how to deal with issues in life, whether fighting a war or doing justice. So, do you think Bhagavad Gita is also kind of darshan? Why wouldn't it call Bhagavad Gita a darshan? this is a question to audience itself. Like, would you consider Bhagavad Gita also as part of our darshan tradition? And darshan has aspect. So in philosophy, correct, in philosophy, I'm not sure about the Western philosophy, but the concept of God is the primary talking point in Western philosophy. But in our Eastern philosophy, we have Astic who believe in Vedas, and we have Nastikas who don't believe in Vedas as primary source of knowledge. So, but we consider every darshan as darshan, not something which we like. Those who only believe in Vedas are darshan, but those who do not believe in Vedas, they are also darshan. So darshan literally means to see, to see. And in philosophy also, the root word, the philo. So I heard from one Swamiji from Ramakrishna Mission. He had discovered, Swami Swarupananda, he had mentioned that the word philosophy actually means to see in the root words. Okay. So in a way, they have the same meaning, but in practicality, in terms of the way they have shaped human civilization from Indic perspective, Bharatiya darshanas, and from the Western perspective, uh, the European continent, which had these philosophers who created the philosophies from Socrates to many other to Aristotle. There is a difference in terms of the way they deal with human consciousness, the way they deal with religion as per se. So they are not same. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let's. So these are all the darshanas we like that was evolved into 6 schools of darshana: Sankhya, Vaisheshika, Purva Mimamsa, the Yoga, the Nyaya, and the Vedanta. So if it is the quest to find the answers to the riddle of a life loaded with wretchedness, suffering, ignorance, besides the fulfillment of desire, etc. The answer is to possess the knowledge of Atman or Brahman. The overriding goal of all the schools, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism, were likewise. The later offshoots, accordingly, the Bharatiya culture revolves around the 4 Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Whatever may be minor differences among these schools, the goal is in the pursuit of happiness during earthly life. So these are all the 6 schools of darshana. If you see the Sankhya, the Vaisheshika, the Purva Mimamsa, Yoga, Nyaya, and Vedanta. And you see, yoga is not the modern version of yoga with all the physical, only the physical exercise. No, it's a part of this yoga darshan. And what has been misinterpreted by the Western narrative and even in the modern context by the way of yoga and uh, monetizing over it. It is a darshana that is a
Nandi,
used to, yeah.
uh, shall we? Because I do not know about the 4 Purushashtras. So shall
Mhm.
we go ahead and explore these 4 Purushashtras?
So
Like
these
I really,
was, yeah, sure, sure. If you want, we can.
yeah, because audience, like how many people know the concept of 4 Purushashtras?
I have heard about in our last book, The Positive
Mm-hmm.
Background of Hindu Sociology, we had come
Mm-hmm.
across this 4 Purusharthas, but what
Mm-hmm.
the author said was,
Mm-hmm.
see, the moksha part was very much discussed when it comes to Hindu philosophy, but these 3 parts, the first 3 parts, are not discussed much.
Got it. Yeah, so that's what. So let's explore a little bit more about these four
Sure, sure.
Purushashtras.
You can share your
I'll just,
screen.
yeah, I'm just sharing it because I want to know. I think the audience will be able to
Yes,
benefit
yes,
because many people might not understand the full contextual part of it.
yes. I'll just remove this from here. I'll just stop sharing for now.
Yeah. So my screen should be visible. Audience, just yeah, I think it's visible and it's readable as well. So let's go here. So we have the four Purushastras, the goals of human life in Hindu philosophy. Dharma. Dharma refers to the righteousness, moral values, and ethical conduct. It encompasses one's duties and responsibilities towards family, society, and the world at large. Dharma serves as the foundation of the other Purushastras and guides individuals in making virtuous choices, living with integrity. This is something which I was talking about in terms of
Mhm,
difference between Bharatiya Darshana and Western philosophy that we talk about. If you see in the definition itself, it
mhm,
encompasses the whole journey of human life from being born to being dead in way, and whatever our responsibilities are, our duties are to the society, to our families, to society
mhm,
at large itself. Correct? So our darshanas are not only deal with metaphysical things, they also deal with the day-to-day life of every individual who wants to live a life. So it includes artha. Artha relates to prosperity, wealth, material well-being. It emphasizes the importance of economic stability, acquiring resources to lead a comfortable life. This is very important. Okay. A lot of conceptualized today in modern times, we consider Indic philosophies or Hindu rituals or Hindu concept philosophies as something which is aesthetic in nature, where we relinquish all material things that we have in life. But in actuality, it is not the case. The four Purushastras deal with every aspect of life that we as human beings we need to do in our daily lives. Artha encourages hard work, prudent financial decisions, but should but should be pursued within the boundaries of dharma. So it's very important. The dharma is the foundation, and all the other three Purushastras are governed by the primary dharma principles. So it is very important that dharma is the primary one, which is governs, which creates the framework, and artha, kama, and moksha are derived within the framework of dharma. So we come to kama. Kama represents desire, pleasure, and love. It includes emotional, sensory, and aesthetic experiences. Karma, sorry, Kama recognizes the importance of enjoying life's pleasures while maintaining balance and not succumbing to excessive indulgence. Moksha. Moksha is considered the ultimate goal, representing spiritual liberation and release from the cycle of birth and death, samsara. It evolves self realization, enlightenment, and attaining oneness with the divine. Moksha emphasizes transcending worldly desires and attachment. The Purushastras provide a holistic framework for leading a balanced and meaningful life. They encourage individuals to harmonize their pursuit of ethical conduct, material prosperity, sensual pleasures, and spiritual awakening. By balancing these four aims, one can achieve fulfillment and work towards the ultimate goal of spiritual liberation. So the last line really does the job. Okay. So this is
mhm,
what our darshanas talk about. It doesn't really talk about leaving everything and go to a forest and become and attain moksha. It talks about every aspect of life that we as human beings are built for. We are built for pleasure. We are built for material things we need in our lives. We are built for spiritual things. So last thing I will say before I will hand it over to you is that today we have a lot of mental health crisis across the globe. And that primarily happens from my perspective. Even I had a similar kind of episodes where we have detached ourselves from the spiritual aspect of our life, which is very important, where we talk about this.
So, since you were
This
talking about mental health, so I found a research paper regarding it from International Journal of Indian Psychology. We'll read it later. Yeah,
yeah, that will be very interesting read. Okay, so I have done for now, so you can start the
sure,
reading
sure.
where we have left.
I'll just finish with this research paper once, and we'll
Hmm,
start
hmm, hmm,
reading.
hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is the International Journal of Indian Psychology, a paper from a research paper from it. So this is from someone called Niti Panchal. Purushartha in modern age. So the abstract goes like this. The ancient concept of Purushartha, which derives from the Vedas, the early Hindu texts symbolize the fourfold path of known as Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. The Purusharthas serve as a model on how to live fully. Each Purushartha has a specific literature that continues to be relevant and even significant today, just as people today look to ancient literature like Bhagavad Gita or the Ramayana for answers to contemporary difficulties. The Dharma implies moral uprightness and Artha means material wealth and values. Kama stands for all sensual pleasures, while Moksha is the state of complete elimination of sorrow, which is the state of self realization. Purusharthas serve as a reflection of human pursuit. It is well known that as yugas change, so do people's perspective on what it means to live a meaningful life. This article attempts to explore the significance of Purushartha in olden times and provide a framework to follow one's purpose in the modern age. So, yeah, accordingly, the terminology, the word Purushartha refers to epitome of human existence, which what it means to be a man in his truest form. The composite Sanskrit term Purushartha is made up of the words Purusha and Artha, where Purusha refers to the human being, the soul, and even the universal principle and soul of cosmos. And Artha refers to both wealth and or value and purpose. In the past, first three objectives, Dharma, Artha, Kama, were stated first as Trivarga, and the last objective, Moksha, was stated subsequently as Chaturvarga. The Purushartha are built on premises of while life should be enjoyed in all of its forms, including sexual pleasures and material pleasure, at the appropriate times. Some ambitions, such as righteous living, and the pursuit of liberation, eventually transcend others, should be one's highest calling. The ability to assess, reason, reflect on the past. If you are interested, this is available, in International Journal of Indian Psychology, where it discusses in depth of each. So when it comes to dharma, it quotes from shlokas from different texts, even Shukraniti for Artha. Oh, let's read Artha. Okay, according to Kautilya's Artha Shastra, Artha is the foundation of two other Purushartha, Dharma and Kama. Artha eva pradhana iti Kautilya Arthamula hi Dharma Kama vidya. So this and moksha is from word much, which means liberated and let go. So the Upanishads, the word Sanskrit muchyate occurs, which imply to be set free or release, such as releasing a horse from its harness. Yeah. So if we come to the conclusion, let's see the conclusion. Yeah. These four essential purusharthas are vital to develop in every human existence for the growth and advancement, as well as welfare of human culture in the framework of 21st century. The modern man are tormented with despair and rage in spite of owning all that should be make them satisfied. In this case, it will be beneficial for them to try to obtain a good knowledge of life and purpose, since human life without purpose and direction is meaningless. An awareness of balance of the Purusharthas is crucial to our individual and society life, as we go forward into the future. On an individual stage, pursuing kama artha solely can never definitely lead to a enduring satisfaction. It is their nature to increase their desire the more they are indulged in, yet when influenced with the idea of dharma, their advancement is altered into something noble, magnificent, for a persistent value. Lastly, the journey towards spiritual freedom should not be neglected, and one should strive to achieve it, since death is an inevitable aspect of everyone's existence, come unexpectedly. So this was the gist of this uh, journal and this research article. Let's go back to our
Yeah,
yeah
Nandi, just before
yeah
okay, you can prep that PDF. So just one question which I wanted to actually ask you. You are from
hmm
the medical background.
hmm
So what is your opinion on this mental health crisis? And also, I would like to link that with the crisis of meaning that the
hmm
modern man faces. Okay,
hmm
and the link that we want to establish with the philosophy of Dr. Deen Dayal Upadhayay on integral humanism, where the philosophy is built, it is there to enhance the human experience, and the human experience encompasses artha, moksha, kama, and dharma, as we are reading in the book. So
hmm
people might say, okay, why we are reading this book? For what reason? Why we have to read a book about integral humanism in 2024? For what reason? The reason is that his philosophy of integral humanism at the individual level can help many people to overcome a lot of issues. It can be mental health, it can be other issues where they are facing, because the core philosophy of Dr. Deen Dayal Upadhyay is betterment, fulfillment of human life at the core. And it includes artha, it includes kama, it includes dharma, it includes moksha. So somebody who is struggling for the meaning in life, somebody struggling with any other issues, go and read his book. It might help you to find a new direction in life. Yeah. Anandi, over to you.
in the modern and postmodern philosophies, everyone is in search of a human-centric philosophy that needs to be more inclusive and more fulfilling to propagate more humanism across the world. And this, I think, would be a unique approach, integral humanism, than any other. Like if you're trying any radical methods to try new stuff, I would say, like, yeah, be inclusive and of all the thoughts, and try to adapt them in your life if it brings positivity in your life.
Yeah, everything is required. So do not exclude. So whatever as a human being you need in life, that is part of your life. It can be material things, it can be spiritual things, it can be emotional things, it can be relationships, it can be spending time alone, doing meditation. It's all a whole holistic approach. Okay. The problem that we have is we have now categorized, segregated into, okay, if I am doing a job, I cannot go and do meditation, or I cannot go and do study, or cannot go on a holiday. Have a balance, as Abhay Agarwal mentioned in the chat, that dharma is about balancing nature and nurture. Your nature as a human being and your nurture, the environment that you live in, you have to find a balance between these two things, and you will live a life of fulfilled. We'll go back to the reading the
Mhm.
passage.
Yeah. So we discussed all the four purusharthas: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And whatever may be the minor differences among these schools, the goal is in the pursuit of happiness during earthly life. Let's see about six schools of thought of Indian darshanas. The Nyaya and the Vaisheshika, among the six schools of thought, examine the universe of experience. They teach the seeker to. So, seeker words came to my mind. And someone said India is the land of seekers, not of believers, and I completely agree. Yeah,
Yeah, the
they
Sadhguru
teach.
says,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sadhguru,
Yes.
Jaggi Vasudev has always mentioned that, okay, we are a land of seekers.
hmm Yeah, that's so true. Like, there is no dogmatic beliefs that we have to believe in this or that. You can pick and choose what you want to believe in and what brings value to your life, and that helps you better follow your dharma.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Here we were. The use the Nyaya and Vaisheshika among six school of thoughts examine the universe of experience. They teach the seeker to use his insights to discover errors and and analyze the material rule book of the world. Both Vaisheshika and Nyaya developed different ways of logical inquiries and focused on building Tarka. Nyaya helped develop Indian logic through the investigation of Sankhya. One is expected to learn Dukha Nivritti. The routine practice of yoga gives detailed instruction towards regulation of Chitta Vritti. It manages reflection and control of vrittis, the thought waves. Mimamsa comprises of two sections. Purva Mimamsa highlights Karma Kanda of the Vedas, which deals with action of or the ritualistic part, and Uttara Mimamsa with the Jnana Kanda, dealing with the knowledge of the self, nature of Atman and Brahman. Yeah, coming to next Upanishads. Where did it go? Yeah, the Upanishads and Vedanta. I think this is playing tricks with me. Yeah, Upanishads and Vedanta. Upanishads are important segments of Vedas. The rishis set about fathoming nature of human beings, their psychological motivations and resolution of problems. They have attempted to address existential issues about who we are and what is the nature of life. Nature of life and universe, and how certain skills inherent in human beings are predetermined at birth. They have come up with fascinating answers to these questions. In the context, Swami Vivekananda states that just as the Greek mind or the modern European mind wants to find the solution of life and of all the sacred problems of being by searching into the external world, so also did our forefathers. Just as Europeans failed, they failed also. But the Western people never made a move more and remained there. They failed in the search for the solution of the great problems of life, death in the external world. There they remained stranded, our forefathers, also found it impossible but were bolder in declaring the utter helplessness of the senses to find the solutions. Nowhere else was the answer better than in the Upanishads. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha na tatra chakshura gacchati na vagacchati. From whence the words unable to reach come back reflected together with the mind. Here the eyes cannot go, nor can speech reach. There are numerous verses which declare the utter limitations of human senses, but they did not stop there. They fell back upon the previous reflections available on the nature of human beings. They sought answers by reformulating the questions. They became reflective. They discovered that the thing exists, asat or maya. Yeah, asat from the shloka, if you remember. Asatoya sadgamaya. Asatoma Sadgamaya shloka, from unreal to real, from Maya to reality, is necessary but will not secure us happiness. As nothing could be done, as no hope, no answer could be found, They discovered that when dull dead matter would not bring them happiness or knowledge, they fell back upon Atman, and there the answer was found. Very interesting. If you see how
Yeah,
Swami Vivekananda compares the meaning of life discussion by Greek philosophers and how it was stranded there, and they did not move forward.
yeah, Nandi,
Yes.
it is very important, correct? So,
Hmm.
like, so when we see today, so I would like to now link this to, because Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhayay was part of Janasangh, okay, and
Hmm.
Janasangh, which became Bharatiya Janata Party later, okay, and Bharatiya Janata Party in its own website, okay,
Hmm.
mentions Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay as their ideologue, as their philosopher, in terms of, because every political party needs an ideology, and the ideology comes from the philosophers who have guided them, who have contributed to their thought process. So
Hmm.
we can see today the kind of leadership, the kind of work being done by the current government, which is somewhere down the line, it's derived from the philosophy of integral humanism. So one specific thing I remember is that, correct, in 2024 elections, okay, they had the slogan called "Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas." Okay,
Hmm.
that became a very controversial statement. Okay, for
Hmm.
the results which they had, but
Hmm.
I was I was just thinking where it comes
Hmm.
from. Like
Hmm.
why the BJP as a party would have a slogan called "Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas,"
Hmm.
and where it comes from. So when I read the book, which we are reading now with all the audience, I
Hmm.
understood the integral humanism part, philosophical part, and they what they derive from. So it came from that philosophical heritage that BJP
Yes,
inherits
it's not a new
with.
slogan.
Yes, go ahead.
It's not a new slogan. It was derived from integral humanism.
Yeah, but unfortunately, not too many people are aware of it. So that's
Yes.
why we are trying to get the message across that whatever you see within whatever is done by a political party, there is some thought process behind this, and people are free to agree or disagree. So we are not here to promote a political party or any other organization. Okay. So we are just reading a book, but in terms of contextual things, it's important for us to give information which is there in public so that it can be understood contextually to everyone who is listening to this. Yeah,
Hmm.
go ahead.
So, like I also found the BJP e-library is so inclusive, and it has thought process books from all ideologies and philosophies. If anyone wants to explore, you are free to explore them. Anyway, so let's go ahead with the book. So I finished this. Let's start here. Yeah. The philosophy of Vedanta clarifies in detail the idea of Atma, which is Nitya, Ananshina, Prameya, and non-material and has presence always. This Atman, which is accessed by human being in the form of I, cannot be distinguished between different individuals. Though our being requires the distinction like I and you, but my I-ness cannot be distinguished by the I-ness of the other person. I also can mean the ego. Ego of one person cannot be distinguished by the ego of another person. Both, yeah. It offers techniques to lift the shroud of ignorance and find bliss. By practice, one can achieve the most profound sense of being referred to as Ananda. Most ancient scholars have refined Vedanta in view of hypothesis and investigation of relativity between Atman and Paramatman, there are Vishesha Dvaita, Shuddha Dvaita, Achinta Bheda Bheda, Dvaitva Advaita, Dvaita Dvaita, Advaita, Bheda Abheda, Dvaita Vedanta. Dvaita implies dualism founded by Madhvacharya ji, hence two separate presence, Paramatman and Atman. And the world. The Supreme Soul has made the world. I think this goes deep into philosophy, I guess. The Supreme Soul has made the world and into are two separate entities. The Paramatman being this higher flawless presence, the material world, including all people being a lower presence. Accordingly, there is no shared trait between Jivatma and Paramatma. Vishishtadvaita propounded by Ramanujacharya is a way of qualified monism, which acknowledges the Paramatman, which has created the world out of his own substance. Consequently, the material world, not a completely isolated substance from the Paramatman. Yeah. Be that as it may, all are defective parts of Brahman. Bhaskaracharya propounded Bheda Abheda. This school holds that Jivatma, the singular self, is both distinctive and additionally like a definitive reality of Brahman. Dvaita, propounded by Nimbaraka, acknowledged Brahman as most immutable reality and additionally the reason for creation of the universe. The Chit or Jiva, the individual self or consciousness, I would call it, yeah, which possesses both learning and information itself, like the sun, which is both light and the source of light. Shuddhadvaita, an adulterated, non-dualistic type of theory propounded by Vallabhacharya. It postulates that the Paramatman and the individual self are the same. Anyway, it differs from Advaita as it considers individual self as not as feature of Paramatman, but its entirety. Achintya Bheda Bheda, articulated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the founder of Gaundinya Vaishnavism, amalgamates both the perspective and purposes of Advaita and Dvaita schools. It holds that individual self is connected to Brahman, which isn't quite as same as him. The individual self is just a piece of preeminent ruler, which one might say it splits from somewhat inflexible meanings of Dvaita and Advaita. Advaita Vedanta is considered as one of the most important and rational schools of Vedanta. Do you see the diversity in this? How
Yes,
many
I was,
schools of,
yeah,
yeah.
I was just talking, like thinking about it when we were reading it, that the darshanas that we have, okay, they sometimes oppose each other, but they are still considered as part of our own heritage.
Mm-hmm,
So that is very, so that's where we see the inclusive part of comes from. That we as a
mm-hmm,
civilization have accepted our critics, we have accepted people who like us, like our the darshana, like our school of thoughts. So we are probably the most ancient, inclusive cultures which still exist today.
and
It
ready
needs,
for reforms and need not basis on dogmatic theories based on text that can evolve in with time.
yeah, evolution. I think it has evolved. So if you see the philosophy that you have just read now, especially the
Mm-hmm,
Vaishnava, okay. So these are later philosophies, okay, the school of thoughts which came about,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
including Jainism, including Buddhism. So you see, the primary source of knowledge is Vedas. From Vedas, you have Upanishads. Okay. From Upanishads, then you had Mahabharata and Ramayana. Okay. I may not get the chronology right. Apologies for that. But then after that, so it is ever evolving into a different school of thoughts. But
mm-hmm,
the primary source of knowledge still remains the Vedas. So
mm-hmm,
you see the evolution. the we say upgrade, okay, upgrade into the philosophical thought process. So you had Puranas, then you had Ramayana, Mahabharata, which also talks about philosophy, which talks about dharma, ethics, business. It's there. Later stages, you had the Bhakti movement, where you had
Reforms,
Vaishnavas,
a lot of
yeah,
reforms. Yes.
Vaishnavas come in. So whatever issues which were there in the previous school of thoughts, they were refined, talked about,
Mhm,
debated,
mhm,
and new school of thoughts came about as a refinement process. So reform
mhm,
is part of our philosophical thought process. We are not a dogmatic people as such. We accept, upgrade, and try to renew our own thoughts into new forms to serve the humankind.
mhm. So that is the way of Dharma, you see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nandi, as we had discussed, so as part of our centenary celebration of RSS,
Mhm,
if you have the data, you can share a bit more information regarding in terms of human development, in terms of social development, in terms of upliftment of poor and marginalized people, how RSS is working towards uplifting their lives through education.
mhm, mhm. I can. Can I share this another
Yes,
screen?
please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Let me just. Should I share the article?
Yes, you can share the article. I think that's
I can share also share other things.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I think as part of the centenary celebration, I think we are trying to touch upon the aspects of life where RSS as an organization has helped the Indian society, okay, people who
Mhm.
need help. So I think it's a good way of doing this.
So, so if you know about the issue of wait, let me just share. So this is a in draft article that we were writing. Yeah. Can you see this? Yeah.
Yes, 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 we can do.
Should I turn off the dark mode? Yeah. So yeah, RSS was founded in 1925, right? Encourages the pluralistic model of national identity with an emphasis on community service and the unity in diversity. Unlike European fascists who viewed diversity as a threat, RSS regards the Indian multiculturalism as a strength. Comparing that's related to the article where this is against calling any political party as fascist without proof. Yeah. So yeah, this dismisses organization role in fostering cultural pride and community resilience within the democratic framework. If you see, this is Vanvasi Kalyan ashrams. Are you aware of Vanvasi Kalyan ashrams?
Yes, I am aware of it, but not
Mhm.
fully aware of the work that they do at the ground level. So if you can share, I think for
So
me and
these
for the
are
audience,
mhm.
it would be a good thing to know what work they have done.
So these are ashrams set up near where the population of uh, tribal clans, so as you would call it.
I
Uh,
think use the word Adivasis rather than clans, but
yeah,
tribal,
Adivasis.
yeah.
Tribal would not be, yeah, correct word to use in India, I would say. Yeah, Adivasi population where it's high, they have set up ashrams for the education of the young minds and for fulfillment of their uh, professional needs and training them for uh, better life. So if you can see this, this is an ashram in Raipur, and this is Shabari Kanya ashram, for, especially for women. And if you see this, this is the morning prayer in the Shaka. And there is another thing. This is Rashtriya Swayamsevak Samiti, that is part of RSS. That is the women's wing of RSS. And this is the Path Sanchalan that happened in this February 4th and 24 in Nagpur, Ramdas Ramat. This is very important. If you can see this, can everyone see this?
I can see, and I think audience, are
Yeah.
you able to see this?
I don't think so, right?
We can see your screen. I can see. I think yeah. Now you can see it. I think you need.
Can you see this? Yeah, this is very
Yes,
important.
yes, yes, yes.
This
Very
is
good.
from 28th September 1947, Harijan magazine, or the weekly, I guess. Yeah, Harijan Weekly from 28th September 1947, when Gandhi visited RSS Shakha. Let's see what he had to say. Two members of the RSS. This was a part of speech. On the morning of 16th of this month, Gandhiji addressed a few words to the members of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. A report of the meeting and address is given below. Only sacrifice is not enough, he says. Addressing about 500 members of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh at the Bhangi colony, Gandhiji said that he had visited Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh camp years ago at Wardha, when the founder Sri Hedgewar was alive. The late Sri Jamlal Balaji had taken him to the camp, and he had been very well impressed by their discipline, complete absence of untouchability, and rigorous simplicity. Since then, the Sangha had grown. Gandhiji was convinced that any organization which was inspired by the ideal of service and self sacrifice was bound to grow in strength. But in order to be truly useful, self sacrifice had to be combined with purity of motive and true knowledge. Sacrifice without these two had been known to prove ruinous to society. If you see this part, what Gandhiji had to tell some RSS folks back in the day in 1947. So he says he was very impressed by the discipline of RSS members, and in the Shakha, which Shakha was this? Let me just check. Wardha.
Uh,
Wardha is in
Vardha,
Maharashtra. Mhm.
I think it's in Maharashtra. We can WARD Vardha.
Yeah, this is the photo from RSS Shakha. Yeah, this is a photo from RSS Wardha. Yeah, I think it's in Maharashtra. So yeah, so Gandhiji had visited that Shakha, and he was very impressed by the discipline and complete absence of any discrimination or untouchability and rigorous simplicity in among the members of RSS. Since then, the Sangha had grown, he says. It's very interesting if you see how he was impressed by the and inspired by the ideal of service and self-sacrifice, even back in the day, since the beginning. So come, yeah. If you see all this, this is the various. Even there are many other than this. I'm just sharing one of the few. If you see how this is the first um, RSS member from Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram in Karnataka. He's a part of Siddhi community. If you know Siddhis, they are of
Yes,
African origin. They
absolutely
have now
correct.
settled in Sahyadri mountains of Karnataka and Maharashtra. They are considered like they from African origin, and he was the one of the first legislative member and legislator from of African descent, and he's currently serving as legislator of I think Yellapur constituency. Yeah,
I think this is an information to me, and I guess it is information to many people across India and also people who are listening outside India, that we have a Siddhi community who resides in Karnataka and Maharashtra. Uh,
yeah. Mhm.
and RSS has worked with them to uplift their lives and given them the importance, okay, the respect that they deserve as part of living in Bharat. So that's
Mhm.
what we are trying to do. We are trying to highlight, okay. So as in the stream we had mentioned, nation building is the primary philosophy and objective of the organization itself, and it
So
is.
if you, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead, go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
Sorry for
No,
interrupting.
no, you can finish, then I will see. No, no issues. Go ahead.
So according to the Article 3 of Constitution of BJP, the integral humanism is the basic philosophy of BJP. The centerpiece of this philosophy is Antyodaya, the welfare of the last person in the queue. Yeah. So I just wanted to highlight this. This article will be releasing on Medium soon. Just subscribe to us and you can see it in the future. Yeah. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes. So as you mentioned, correct. So from my experience of living in Bharat, okay, I have seen a lot of political organizations, okay, who profess a lot of philosophy, a lot of initiatives to uplift Bharatiyas. But fortunately or unfortunately, okay, I haven't seen on ground work done by these organizations. The only different organization which I have seen, and as you have mentioned, given the evidence and references of their political constitution and their on ground work that they are doing, is that the only political party as of now who are doing something on ground to implement their philosophies, okay, their constitution on ground by giving respect, giving them better lives, education, uplifting them on ground and implementing their philosophies the way it should be done. So that is something which
Mhm,
is unique to the organization itself. And RSS plays a
mhm,
very pivotal role in that process. Although the BJP as a political party and RSS as a social cultural organization, okay, they are two different spheres of domain that they work in, but both of them have a same philosophical background and philosophical ideologues who have contributed to both of them. So
mhm.
it's a kind of amalgamation which has taken place.
This is very interesting, if you ask me, because whenever you, if you just Google RSS and the various narratives that is coming around without the actual mention of the philosophy of the organization is very disturbing.
Yes, I was coming to that. That like if you just Google RSS, okay, and you will see a lot of negative things being published about them. They are being a fascist organization. They are organizations who are supremacist in nature. Okay. But these specific things which are they are doing the work on ground silently seldom get highlighted by mainstream media and even by people who are doing it themselves. So
Mhm,
that is something which is where we are trying to find out and create, not even create, highlight whatever good and bad things done by the organization. So we are not affiliated to any organization, but we try to give a picture which is there, and it's for the audience to decide what they feel about it or what they perceive about it. And if they have any negative or positive impressions, we have the data. We'll give you the data. We'll give you the links. You can go ahead and check and verify things and form your own opinions. Okay. So we don't believe in dogmas. We believe in references. We believe in on ground reports, on ground documentation, how it is happening, and it's for the audience to decide how they want to perceive the way they are.
mhm.
I think we go ahead with the reading.
Yeah. So here we discuss all the schools, and yeah, coming to Advaita Vedanta is considered one of the greatest spiritual uh, and important and rational schools of Vedanta. The greatest spiritual figures such as Gaudapadacharya, Adi Shankaracharya, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ramana Maharshi, Swami Vivekananda, and many more have strongly propounded this school of thought. Here, The main reality that exists is Brahman. However, this does not imply that the world does not exist, but rather it is the form that only exists and but which introduces such certain obstacle to access Brahman. In the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, the world exists but questionable reality, and it exists with Brahman at its core. Consequently, the only reality of the world is Brahman, which we perceive as truth that we see around is a deceptive reality, hence questionable. So the world is truly Brahman. That which isn't Brahman, though it exists, is what needs to be overcome. The significance of vastness of Atman can be found in Vedantic schools, which collectively constitutes the heart of Bharatiya tradition. Yeah. So we have finished with the darshanas in the book. Let me just drink some water. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think let's take a few comments.
Mhm.
So we have one request from, so we, I think, yeah, this is the comment. So can you explain the Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, shloka 42, which speaks about relationship of body, indriya, mind, intelligence, and atma?
Should we go
So
through Bhagavad Gita?
no. I think we have one more stream planned on this, so we have taken
Mhm.
note of it. Right
Mhm.
now, I think we need to do some our own studies on this before we do that. So that is something there. So we have taken note of it. So we will be certainly sharing the explanation in our planned streams.
Mhm. So yeah, we'll go through the book. This book right now.
Yeah. So we'll
Yeah,
go with the reading. Nandi, I
yeah.
will be back in 5 minutes. So go ahead with the reading.
Sure. I'll just read. The evolution of Varnas. All individuals are Shudras by birth was the principle on which the model of Varnashrama functioned. This verse from the Skanda Purana asserts the intent behind the structure of Varnashrama. Janmaya, janman, Janmana Jayate Shudra Sanskarat Dvija Uchyate. Everyone is born Shudra, ignorant of the path to spiritual knowledge, until the travails of samsara motivates a person to seek it. But only someone who seeks the path of spiritual knowledge evolves into a Brahmin. It should clearly be understood that Varnashrama isn't the caste system of the popular imagination of a distinction by birth. Then neither it has any relations with individual's parental lineage. Varna was undoubtedly a model of classes of particular kind, just professional guild, particularly dependent on personal characteristics and inclinations. Vedas have likewise propounded that every single individual should leave ignorance, acquire knowledge, and take after a reasonable calling for himself in light of the fundamental attributes he acquires. Tibir guna maya hir bhavai, ibhi सर्वम् idam jagat mohtam nabha janati mam ibhya param avyayam. This quote from the Bhagavad Gita, that entire world is captivated by three modes of material nature. I think this was the thing we were talking about, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. BS. Yeah. The Bhagavad Gita says that the entire world is captivated by three modes of material nature: tamas, rajas, and sattva. I don't know. Yeah. Tamas is darkness, ignorance, and rajas is excess and or passion. Sattva is goodness or balance. Vedas assert that Varna can happen in three ways based upon the material nature of an individual activates. During the Vedic evolution, it was understood that those who were driven by the mode of goodness and inclined towards acquiring knowledge termed as Brahmins. These individuals in the mode of governance and oriented towards acquiring political power and attributes were called Kshatriyas. The individuals who were blended the modes of both energy and goodness eventually were good at trade and businesses were called Vaishyas. Those individuals who were in service of these three classes of ministerial classes and bureaucracy were Shudras. This classification of Varnashram was just a natural progression of societal advancement based upon their respective professions yeah, and not something merely determined by inheritance. A person born to the Shudra, Vaishya, and Kshatriya parents had all the liberty to become Brahmin, and vice versa. Just as an engineer's son today can opt for medicine or a doctor's daughter take a profession of a civil servant, no calling was considered superior or inferior. Each had its own dignity. The spiritual seekers or the Brahmins were naturally treated with respect and dignity primarily because of the personal sacrifices made in the pursuit of their goals. This Vedic system brought knowledge and shrewdness of the ages to direct an individual's life towards the gainful and fulfilling occupation. In harmony with this mindset and aptitudes, it has never intended to command, smother, hold down, or belittle anybody. Even though there is an extraordinary consensus today among scholars that Varnas were social classes and every member of the society belonged to one Varna or the other, but it has become very difficult to argue on those lines on public platforms. In the current context, Varna is being increasingly identified with Jati and caste. So here, the author is saying Varnashrama is completely different, and the original concept of Varna is completely different from what is today of Jati. Yeah. And Neofaith and of the Paleo Bharat. Yeah. Let's start with the Neofaiths of the Buddhism. I think these are all the philosophies. Let's just skim through. This is Jainism, the whole detail about Buddhism and Jainism. Even Sikhism is given as it is one of the Indic religions. And coming to the everlasting prose, the Mahabharata, yeah, the grand Itihas, which may have been attempted to reduce to a mere legendary sonnet, which actually is an eternal wellspring of philosophy. Viewed in totality, Mahabharata coalesces with and owes its reality to Vedas. Economic aspects, human science, administrative issues, the art of war, the chemistry, the astronomy, all of this is incorporated alongside philosophy, which most profound sense of well-being. The spirituality the Mahabharata spins around and the battle between cousins and Pandavas and Kauravas, born to the kings Pandu and Dhritarashtra respectively. Yeah. So this goes into the depth of Mahabharata and in Kurukshetra war, where the third Pandava saw his own people ready for battle with deadly weapons, and his inspiring grandfather Bhishma, who had, for all intents and purposes, brought him up, his gurus Dronacharya and Kripacharya, his cousins and Kauravas for a moment. His determination of overcoming the Kauravas has faltered. Yeah. Krishna had surrendered arms and had chosen to become his charioteer. Arjuna says to Krishna, "Take me back. I can't kill these people." If you are very familiar with Bhagavad Gita, this is the gist of it, and it's if you want to read more about it, please go through the book. This is just a gist of the book. Take me back. I can't kill these people. They are my brothers, my gurus, my relatives, my children, my loved ones. What great of a kingdom that's fixed at the cost of their lives. At that point, Krishna delivers a philosophical discourse. See how everything is about a discourse. If you have gone through Upanishads, everything in Upanishad is a discourse between two individuals and how they discuss what is life and many other darshanas. And even here, when it comes to Bhagavad Gita, it's about discourse. This is why Hinduism holds discourse at its core. Yeah. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna clarifies the fleeting nature of life to Arjuna and the significance of carrying out one's obligation and or adhering to the correct way or the Dharma. The Bhagavad Gita is a quintessence of ancient philosophy, shedding light to the idea of Atman, Paramatman, and the material universe, karma, rebirth, and the procedure of yoga, the purpose of life. The Bhagavad Gita demonstrates how anybody can perform customary obligations but stay free from the results of one's activities. Krishna underscores the need to end one's karma and to stop cycles of birth and deaths, and lastly to achieve spiritual dissolution. So this is the message of Mahabharata, that is the truth and honorableness. Yeah. Coming to the Ramayana, even Ramayana has the ancient enriching epic not only for Bharatiyas but the whole of mankind. It was composed in the 5th century. I don't know how I came across this, but I think I just lost the page. Yeah. It is believed that the first recited entire epic to Lord Rama's children, Lava and Kusha, in a forest hermitage, from where it is have to said to passed on to the succeeding generations. The entire poem revolves around Lord Ram, who was the first child of the Dasharatha, the ruler of Ayodhya, Bharat, Lakshmana, and Shatrughna as Ram's siblings. Lord Ram was married to Sita, and one day Dasharatha chose to hand over the kingdom to his eldest son. I think more like any of like most of the Indians, even uh, anyone from the Indian subcontinent, mostly knows about this story, legend of Ramayana, and the whole philosophical meaning behind all of this. And even like far-fetched nations such as Thailand and Bali, if you go there, they have their own version of the Ramayana, and they perform it every year there. Yeah.
Yes, I am back, Nandit.
Mhm. So we were just discussing in the book all the Indic faiths and the Itihasa from Mahabharata and Ramayana. Yeah, we just finished that and we were discussing that. And we were just, this is very important. If you come to the next page, on the 39th page, he shows the contrast between Bharatiya and non-Bharatiya faiths. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Go ahead.
Monotheism is the most vital and foundational idea of Islam. It believes that Allah alone is the genuine creator, and non-believers were characterized as kafirs. Islamic religious literature strongly asserts that Allah is one God without a second. According to its convictional framework, Allah cannot be pluralized and or constrained to a particular gender, who is distinct from all his creation. They firmly believe that Allah has created humanity with the sole purpose of his worship and continues to send messengers to guide the individuals. Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad are such messages, and Muhammad's Quran is considered a definitive expression of God and is viewed as sacrosanct. Whereas Torah of Moses, the Psalm, I don't know how to pronounce this, Psalms, I guess, Psalms of David, and the Gospels of Jesus are perceived to be adulterated. Okay, Muslims believe that there will be no messengers that after Muhammad in future. If anyone claims to be the messenger, such will be treated as an impostor. Muslims have faith in the idea of soul, yet have no reasonable justification of its starting point. I guess I don't know about that. However, they do not trust karma and rebirth, yet unequivocally expect that soul needs to go through death. According to the Quran, there is a Qayamat, the Day of Atonement, Jannat, paradise, okay, and Jahannam, hell. After death, soul is taken from body by angel of death. Later, it returned to body after its burial. And okay, after death, soul is taken from the body by angel of death and later returned to the body after its burial. Okay, the grave, according to Islam, will either be a one. The grave, according to Islam, will either be a wonderful place or it might be frightful space based on its deeds during his or her lifetime. Devoted souls are said to go to heaven, and those that disregarded or rejected or declined to trust Allah or worshipped other gods will be dispatched to hell to face punishment. In spite of these predominant convictions, Muhammad has expressed in the Quran that soul is on one of the things of which the knowledge is only with his Lord, and of knowledge the mankind has been given is only a little, prompting less clarity on the comprehension of soul. Okay, let's move on to God in Christianity. Just yeah. Uh, God in Christianity is the being who makes and saves all the things. Okay, Savior. Christians trust God to be completely free of material universe and associated with the, the world in the meantime. They view Jesus Christ as the Son of God and the Bible as the most sacred book. However, there are two different versions of Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament, and they both are meant to transfer the wisdom altogether, different from each other. I think this is the last page of the book. Yeah. While the first followers of the Christ may have attempted to see precisely what the sacred writings and said about the idea of God and Jesus, however, it is said that in the end perceived something particular about portrayed in the New Testament, the force of uh, the force of. I think this is page number 39. Yeah, the force of Christianity has a trine nature and is presently said that his character is reflected in his creation. Okay. The New Testament says that there is just a single God and Jesus is the only begotten Son and the Holy Spirit, one God in three modes. Bible denies the reality of rebirth and reincarnation, which declares the God's man is God's unique creation, made in his likeness and image, with both a material body and a soul. Upon death, the soul separates from the body and is reunited at the end of the world with its immortal body. This assumption of the supernatural resurrection of the body rather than natural immortality of the soul alone is the only version of life after death in the Bible. It is centered in the Old Testament while unmistakably set forth in the New Testament. When the man's body is mortal, rots, and disintegrates upon death, his soul proceeds towards hell if he denies Christ, or in heaven if he converts in Christ. Very interesting.
Yeah, Nandi, I have a question
Yeah.
which came to my mind just now.
Hmm.
So when we talk about correct from the monotheistic religions, the concept of hell and heaven, okay, and we also have swarga and nark.
Hmm.
So uh, I think in our philosophy, correct. So people who have done bad things, they go to nark and they get their punishment, and they are reborn as uh, animal or any based on their correct based on their deeds that they have done, good or bad.
Hmm.
Okay. So just I was curious about, because we are the oldest civilization on earth. The concept of heaven and hell, was it something transmitted from us to other civilizations? And
So Vedas don't talk about heaven or hell.
mhm,
Upanishads do, and before that, the Puranas, especially the Garuda Purana, tells this about in detail.
correct, but
Yeah.
Vedas do not talk about heaven and hell, but correct,
Mm-hmm.
later as a refinement or as a social change happened, correct. So this
Mm-hmm.
concept was introduced. It was correct. We were a correct society who
Mm-hmm.
debated. Correct? Like
Mm-hmm.
we have a ancient tradition of debates
Mm-hmm.
where we did not fight with swords or physically. We fought
Mm-hmm.
on thoughts. We fought on vichardhara. We say okay. So
Like
vichara
a
and
debate.
vimarsh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, vichara and vimarsh, which was taking place. So it may
Mm-hmm.
have been a culmination of that refinement process over debates about
Mm-hmm.
the schools of philosophy,
Yes.
because new schools of thoughts would emerge out of old schools based on the refinement which has happened. So
Mm-hmm.
that was thing that this concept of heaven and hell is there in almost all religions as
Yeah.
per se.
Yeah.
Okay. But we are the oldest civilization. So is that something the concept was uh, people from outside came here and know about it, or it was
That may be
like
also possible, or it may be also as a societal. Uh, uh, how do you say it? Yeah. So if most of the religions know about, like, they believe in life after death, right?
yes,
But if you see the history of all the Abrahamic religion, they come from West Asia, from a very small area, which
yes,
was heavily influenced by many religions before it. Even if you, hello,
yeah. I understand. I think by mistake it was got muted.
yeah.
So correct. So
So
you're absolutely
yeah,
correct that the three Abrahamic faiths have the same origin.
same origin means I like to say from a single region,
Mm-hmm,
three
mm-hmm,
faiths are. So before these three religions came into picture, there was a native religion in the place, which had
mm-hmm.
its own influences from all over the world because it was the center of trade.
Absolutely, you are in the right track.
Mhm. So if you see, there was a lot of trade between Egypt and India, and if you see in the even in the northern land travels, there were lots of if you see Iranian region now,
Yes,
ancient Persians also had a trade route with India and political connection with through Western satraps, and they had their own philosophies. I think, they, what are they called? The religion? Do
which
you
one?
know?
Zoroastrians?
Zoroastrians, and another one
Um,
in the ancient Parsis, I guess.
no,
Parsis
no, no, no,
are
no,
the
no, no.
Zoroastrian.
The yeah, they are called Zoroastrians, the fire worshippers.
Hmm. Hmm. So Zoroastrians have a very uh, which is very close to Indian philosophy, if you ask me.
Yes, but they are not exactly the same. Yeah, but they do have like they do fire worship, and our ancestors in the Vedas they also did fire worship.
Mhm.
So
Not
that is
only
something which
that,
is
if you see the words that they use, even the words are very close. But I'm not saying there is like there it's not different. Of course, they are
mhm.
different, but they have a mutual exchange of ideas between them.
Yeah. On that part, I want to share something to the audience. I have this book. So this book is name is The Shape of Ancient Thought: Comparative Studies in Greek and Indian Philosophies. So as you mentioned, there was a international trade going on in ancient
Hmm.
times. So tradesmen, businessmen, scholars would be traveling to this uh, faraway lands, and people from Greece and European continent would come to Bharat.
Hmm.
So and this philosophy. So, for example, Stoicism. Stoicism as a philosophy is very similar to what is taught in Bhagavad Gita.
Mhm.
So at one instant, you can see you have a Western philosophy, we have an Eastern philosophy. But
Mhm.
when you do a comparative study of these two philosophies, you will find that there are a lot of similarities of concepts, okay, which are very similar in nature. So, and I went into a search like what is happening here. So then I
Mhm.
stumbled upon this book which did a comparative study of these Eastern philosophies and Western philosophies. And the author found out that it was an exchange of ideas. So if we find something interesting and similar, which is there in Bhagavad Gita and also in Stoicism, it is because of exchange of ideas.
Mhm.
So philosophies are like rivers were flowing, okay, and they influence each other. They learn from each other. They have their concepts which are there. So it is not something static and have silos. So they are not silos. So like there could be a similarity and there could be a ideas exchange. So this idea of heaven and hell might have come from both ways. It might have come from that side or this side. But from my perspective, because we are the oldest civilization, ideas of heaven and hell might have traveled to these lands, and they would have picked it up and they would have named hell and heaven because they are very similar concepts. Buddhism also has heaven and hell. We have Christianity. We have where the hell is mentioned in detail. What exactly
Mhm.
it entails in
Mhm.
I think in Dante's work you can see the heaven and hell, how the hell
In
it is.
depth. Yes.
Correct. So that's what. So nothing exists in silos. There are exchange of ideas which takes place, and they will have their influences on each other. So we might have learned
Mhm.
something from the Greeks, and Greeks would have learned something from us.
Mhm.
So that is something
So
very interesting.
there is a documentation for this. Let me just
Mm-hmm.
get it. So there is a how you say it, Greek theater play from second AD.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called Charity and Mime, and it was
Mm-hmm.
discovered in Papyrus Oxyrhynchus 413.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably performed in Egypt, as the manuscript said, and
Mm-hmm.
it contains Indian characters and Indian languages.
Can you, if it's possible, to share that to the audience? Uh,
Uh, let me
if you
just
can do a search, it's very interesting.
no, it's right. Let me just so if you let me just see that research paper. So
And
there was
we
epigraphic remains of Indian traders in Egypt that was recently found.
so that's already documented. So we have
Yeah, yeah.
Indian traders like
Yes.
settlements in China, and that is documented
Mm-hmm.
in the book by Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody can go ahead and search for Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal's books, you will find that Indian trade guilds have their offices, have their branches in China, in Greece, in Greek. They were there already there. So there is no surprise that okay, you will have Indian thoughts, ideas, names, languages being present in also in Egypt.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just share it now.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm already sharing.
Yeah.
Share screen. Okay. So here it is. If you can see. So on the other side of this papyrus, scrap of papyrus, is the script of
Uh,
another
can you
mind.
can you zoom it a
Let
little
me
bit?
just
Can you
zoom.
zoom it?
I cannot zoom it more than this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good enough.
So
I think it's readable.
let me just full screen it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So on the other side of this scrap of papyrus, I think
Hmm.
papyrus
Hmm.
is like the old kind of paper
Yes,
from the
yes, yes.
papyrus plant. So it's a script of another mime with relevance to the novels. The Charitian mime, which eponymous heroine is a Greek girl held captive in India, who is rescued by her brother and other Greeks whose behavior is from glorious, as well as providing an example of exotic adventure journey in India. In the mime is a plot that is never mentioned in the ancient discussions of the mime. The script shows how the mime could incorporate allusions to canonical texts such as Odyssey and Iphygia. Yeah. So let me just yeah. So this is the chariot and mime that is found in there in the same like if you go through this book you can find it, and it is very close to some say Tulu language of the southern Karnataka, coastal Karnataka.
Oh,
If you see. Yeah,
oh,
the
that's very
language that is so it's like not exactly the language because I don't think they knew the language, but the pronunciations were very similar to Tulu of the time because it mentions the coastal king who, the Greek girl who was held captive and it was rescued by her brother. As this fictional tale she says, yeah, this is very
that
interesting.
that's really. So we will do one thing. We are going to share and pin this article and other things we have discussed in the description.
Hmm.
So
Sure, sure.
people who would be listening to the streams later, they can go ahead
Hmm.
and check it out. It's very important that we share all the references that we talk about in the
Yes,
description so that they can go ahead and read it by themselves.
yes, sure. So let's
Okay.
just finish
So
this chapter of this book.
yes,
I'll
yes,
just
go ahead.
no, this is just I just remove. Let me. So yeah, so we were discussing about the Islamic religions, and both the Islamic and Christian societies specifically repudiate. What is repudiate? Let me just. Repudiate means refuse to accept or reject, deny the validity of. Okay, both the Islamic and Christian societies specifically reject the Bharatiya tradition when compared with Islam and Christianity. None of the indigenous Bharatiya orders, Buddhism, Sikhism, Jainism, the Vedantic schools, or the Neo sects, have ever insisted that their followers worship a particular god. They agree that there is one omnipotent force, the Brahman, which is the source of all that is and will be known, but known by different names. The duty of a Muslim is to submit to the Quran unquestionably. Anyone does not follow the tenets of Quran is considered a kafir, for whom the doors of Islamic heaven are forever shut. The duty of a Christian is to acknowledge and accept the divinity of Jesus Christ. Those who question Christ will not be considered as genuine Christians. Yeah, that is the end of this book. This one on the 40th page of this
Yes,
book. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll pause the reading till today for this
Hmm.
specific portion. So we'll start the reading in our next stream. So now we
Hmm.
will take some messages and also Nandi, we should invite people to come and talk to us
Yes, yes,
if
you
they
can.
want.
Let me just share the.
Yeah,
Let me just invite link in the. Yeah. So I
in
have included the invite me link in the comments. BS
yeah,
is
yeah.
saying something.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we'll take the comments now, and if anybody wants to join and talk to us or share some their ideas, their thoughts, you are welcome to share them. We are here to listen to everyone. So let's take the comments now. So we
Right.
had a comment from Abhay Agarwal who said Dharma is about balance between nature and nurture. That is very true. I think mm, it's absolutely right what he has said. And now one more comment from Abhay is that do everything within the bounds of dharma. That's very important, correct? When we were sharing the screen regarding four Purushastras, it mentions that dharma is the primary one, kama, artha, and moksha. You will work on these three specific things, but they are bounded by your dharmic principles. So your dharmic principle is going to be something which will be there, and you are going to work on. So you are not going to do something which is beyond dharma. So if dharma says you should not hurt a human being, your artha should not be earned by hurting a human being. So that is something which is important. And let's see, we have an interesting comment. So Abhizen says, Namaste, Namaste Abhizen. Interesting comment. This was a period when things were settled through debates and in the golden times. Yeah, that's what we were talking about previously. That ancient India had a golden tradition of debates where knowledgeable people would come and debate rather than fight physically. We have one more thing. Anybody wants to join, do click on the link and join while we are going through the chapters. So Skanda Purana and Sloka 42 of chapter 3 are on relationship of different aspects. We do read all these comments and we have take them into notes, and when we do streams on philosophy specifically, we will discuss them. So thank you for your input. So this is an interesting comment. Mahash Mahashatriya groups that saved biggest city from being changed by Mughal and therefore entire nation. Uh, Gen vlogs, would you like to elaborate a little bit more? Because Nandi, you know about this?
Which one?
Because
Mahashtriya. What is that?
that's what. So I think it might be a typo. Okay.
Maharashtriya?
BS, I,
Maharatha?
not exactly sure. It may be a typo or something, but yeah. But I think if you can explain more, our email ID is there in our channel description and also in the stream description. So if you have something to share, do send us an email. We do read emails sent by our viewers and subscribers. So if you have something you want to share, do send us an email. And if you want, you can also join us live by the stream link that we have shared. But that's an interesting comment. Okay. Okay. So BS. Okay. Yeah. BS, if you can go to Nandi, can you type the email address on the chat?
Yes, I can. Let me just.
Yeah.
So I was just looking at that research paper that found Egyptian remnants of Indian traders. Yeah. What details does he need? Yes. No. He said,
I
can you share to email, not
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
email?
Yeah. So anyway, see, share the email to us. So if the audience or people want listening to
Yeah.
this, they have any ideas, they can share to us over email, so we can reply to them. So it's not a bad.
Yeah.
So just post our email ID, or that people can send us an email.
Yes. I
Like
have.
if they have any feedback,
Mhm.
yeah. If they have
So
any
BS, if you
feedback,
have any questions and if you need more information regarding the contents we discussed in the stream, please email it to us. We will definitely look into it and share you the corresponding details.
and
Yeah.
on that one thing, actually, in coming months, we will be launching our own newsletter. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that newsletter, you will get all the content articles that we publish that will be available in the newsletter. So I have taken note of BS email ID. So in coming months, we are working on our own newsletter where the contents, the publications, the research papers that we discuss on our streams, they will be shared, and few things also will be shared over the newsletter. So keep watching the space.
So yeah, let me just show you that.
Yeah.
Can you see this? This is the research paper from epigraphic remains of Indian traders in from the American Oriental Society Journal.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the epigraphic remains of Indian traders, the paper. So
Mm-hmm.
handful of little known fragments of inscriptions of Indian languages and scripts were found in Egypt, provide epigraphic collaboration of copious testimony of the classical sources about the flourishing trade between India and Roman Empire. Saying directly Roman Empire. Okay. These include three records from the Red Sea port of Kasir, one in Prakrit and two in Old Tamil, whose linguistic and paleographic features point towards South India as the place of origin of the Indian merchants in Egypt. This accord with the evidence from a fragmentary Greek parts of from Oxyrhynchus. Yeah, why do they make it so difficult to pronounce? Anyway, containing garbled imitations of an Indian language. If you see this, this is not the actual language used in
Mm-hmm.
the play. This is a garbled imitation of an Indian language, like a skit, which, according to some scholars, may be archaic form of Kannada or some other Dravidian languages. Uh, Also, a Greek inscription from Redese invoking the blessings of Pan apparently bears blessings of Pan apparently bears the name of Hellenized Indian. I don't know what is this. Subhan is this old? Okay, so it may be perhaps Subhan. Thus, the epigraphic material attests to the presence of temporary sojourners and the long-term assimilated residents among the Indians in Egypt during the early centuries of the Christian era. Christian era, okay. Why do they have to make it about that? This is between Roman Empire and India.
And Nandi, on that
Yeah.
specific thing, I have one more thing to show regarding the Roman
Hmm.
Empire and India, especially the Chola Empire. So
Sure, sure.
uh,
You,
here
you,
is the
you,
book. If you can
let me
see
just
the book,
highlight you. Let me just highlight
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Wait.
yeah. Please do it. So this is the book. This is a fictional account of the Vijayanagar Empire and the Roman Empire, how they met, how they did trade. So this book specifically documents in a fictional manner the interactions between the Roman Empire and the Vijayanagar Empire. It's a very interesting book. Normally, we do not read, like I personally don't read a lot of fiction, but this book was an exception. So I wanted to understand how the interaction between the Roman Empire and the Vijayanagar Empire actually took place, and a fictional book is a very good way to actually understand the whole cultural interaction. So if people want to understand this interaction that Nandi is talking about on the research paper, you can go ahead and buy this book. The book is available. So interesting read, I must say.
Hmm. Very interesting. Also, it deals with the Vijayanagara Samrajya.
Yeah, so you mentioned that Tamil. So Tamil was there correct? I think Vijayanagar
Yeah, yeah.
Empire used a lot of Tamil.
Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, all languages were used.
Were
It's very
used. Okay.
interesting if you see. Yeah.
So yes, so we are coming to the end of our stream.
Mhm. So this is the, if you see, this is the Prakrit inscription that was there in uh, Kasir port in Egypt. This is the that says Halakasha Vinudata Nakada. That means of Halaka and of Vinudata of Nakada. And second line says of these three people Halaka. And third line says of oil 102. I think this is a measurement of oil and of meat and of wine and roots. I think these are measurements, and rest of the things were lost here. Okay. So
Yeah,
this is
very
in a
interesting
very poor
article.
condition. Hmm.
Yeah, it would be there. It would be. It is very old,
Yeah, very
correct?
old,
So I
very old.
think it is
It's a
found,
miracle
and
that
we
it
are able.
survived.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct on that. Yeah, we have a very good input. So
Hmm.
let me just say. So BS says I can record my views on Chaturvarna and scientific explanations of it and mail you. Your expert team may examine and accept reject. Yeah, sure. We are open to all suggestions. So if you have any counter arguments, even we will, if if you find something which has logic and argument, in our next streams we will share your email, and we will try to also accept your ideas. If you have something which we can counter, we'll give you the counter. So it's about debates, correct? We see in the golden age where we discussed ideas, thoughts,
Yeah,
philosophies rather than fight with each other. So
it's
we will
about
certainly,
discourse and discussions. We
yeah.
are very much, yeah.
So what we do will do is, please send us an email. We will read the email, and if we find something it has merit, we will also discuss your email in our next stream. So please join us for that as well.
Yeah. So if you see this is the old Tamil inscription on this. Yeah, this, if you see these two, first one says Kannan and second says Atan. Maybe. So yeah,
Great, great.
yeah. This
I think
we
we may
come to
have.
the end of this article. Yeah.
I think this was a very good stream where we learned a lot actually by reading the
Hmm.
book, where we also digress here and there, but it was a good digression that we learned a lot. So maybe we have to do a new stream on this article itself or the paper.
Hmm.
Uh, it would be very interesting for us and also for the audience to know about these two articles and papers which are published.
Hmm.
So, on that note, we are going to end this stream for today. Thank you everyone for joining the stream. Good evening, good night, good morning, wherever you are. And do join us for the next stream. Namaste, Vande Mataram.